In this chapter, chapter 15, we're going to be looking at two systems, the digestive system and the excretory system. And in order to get ready for the digestive system, we need to look at nutrients. So our lesson 1 is on nutrients. Here's some key concepts to remember as we go over this lesson. Why do you eat? Why does your body need each of the 6 groups of nutrients? And why is eating a balanced diet important? Now, what they do in your foods is the amount of energy that is in your food, they measure it in what they call a calorie. Remember, all foods give your body energy. A calorie, which is abbreviated CAL, is the amount of energy that it takes to raise the temperature of 1 kilogram of water by 1 degree Celsius. And so that's what a calorie, that's the definition of it. And so if you look on boxes, which we'll talk at, they have labels, we'll talk about this at the end of the presentation, they will tell you how many calories are in that particular food in that box or in that wrapper, whatever you're looking at, whichever label. So why do you eat? The amount of energy a person needs depends on a lot of different factors. So it's not like we all need the same amount of energy. It depends on your weight, the age, your activity level, and what sex you are, your gender. The food is made up of many nutrients. Nutrients are substances that provide energy. Now remember, one of the main energy sources in our cells, remember the energy? What was our cell part that had to do with energy? The powerhouse, the mitochondria. So a lot of the glucose that comes from our food goes to the mitochondria to produce the energy, the ATP molecules, that is the usable energy by the cells. But it's also needed for some other things in our body as well. So food is made up of these nutrients and the substances that provide energy and the materials for cell development, growth, and repair. So those are some other uses for these nutrients. There are 6 groups. The 6 groups are proteins, carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, minerals, and water. Each nutrient has a different function, a different reason why our body needs them. They all need it. We need all of these 6 in order to maintain homeostasis, that balance inside. So we're going to talk about these 6 groups of nutrients. Proteins. We've learned a little bit about proteins. Remember, the building block of a protein is amino acids. So protein is a large molecule that's made up of amino acids. Now, what amino acids are made up of? They're made of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and sometimes sulfur. There are 20 different amino acids that make up all the proteins in our body. So just imagine if you got 20 different building blocks here, and you can use them in a different order and a different quantity, how many different proteins can be made. Proteins, here's some of the benefits. This is some of the things that proteins do for us. Proteins relay signals between cells. They protect against disease. They provide support to our cells. And they speed up chemical reactions. And we talked about speeding up the chemical reactions. That's when they are catalysts, because that's what a catalyst is. Carbohydrates. They're made up of a chain of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. So that's what their molecules are made up of. They are our body's major source of energy. Carbohydrates are starches, sugars, and fibers. There's what's called simple carbohydrates, and that's your sugars. And there's complex carbohydrates, which are your starches. Then there's fats. No diet, remember, a diet is not good if it leaves out any of these 6 important, vital nutrients of our body, including fats. Fats, remember, are lipids. That's its scientific name, and they provide energy. They also help your body to absorb vitamins, and we're going to get into some of the need of vitamins. And so in order to be, remember why the absorption? It's actually, remember, a major component of your cell membrane. Your cell membrane is proteins and lipids. Fats are a major part of the cell membrane, and they help to insulate the body against cold temperatures. We looked at the hypodermis, the subcutaneous layer, and what was it? Fat cells, and they were for insulating. Fats are classified as saturated or unsaturated. So there's good fats and bad fats. Do you know which is which? The saturated are the ones that are the bad fats, and the unsaturated are the good fats. A diet high in saturated fats, what it can do, and this is why it's bad, is it can increase levels of cholesterol. And when you get levels of cholesterol going around in your bloodstream, they can start forming plaque on the inside of your blood vessels and eventually form a blockage. And if that blockage is to your heart, it would cause a heart attack. If that blockage is to your brain, it could cause a stroke. So it is increasing then your risk of having heart disease if you eat a lot of saturated fats. Vitamins are nutrients that are needed in small amounts for growth, regulating our body functions, and preventing some diseases, such as scurvy with vitamin C. When they didn't have a lot of vitamin C, they would get scurvy, which is a disease of the gums, and they bleed and other things. Now, minerals are inorganic nutrients. They don't contain carbon. Carbon is an organic substance. Inorganic substances do not contain carbon. And the purpose of minerals is to regulate many of the chemical reactions. So they're helping in the area of, like, the proteins that are catalysts. And you can see all the different vitamins. And it's really important to look at the dosages that you need, because on some of them it is toxic to take too many. Others, if you take too many, you're just going to pee them out. So you're just wasting your money. So it's important to know how much you should have of each type of vitamin and not overdo it. Of course, we need water. As you know, our body is a bunch of water, about 70% water. Your body needs water for chemical reactions to occur. Your body takes in water when you eat or drink, and it loses water when you sweat, you go to the bathroom, number one, urinate, and you breathe. You're breathing out. So that's losing water. If you lose water and don't replace it, then you become what is called dehydrated. And that happens a lot, like if you get constipation, if you're throwing up, like you have the flu and you're getting constipated and you're throwing up, you can lose so many and not keep the food down and not keep the water down. Then that's one of the serious things that they look at. They might have to put you in the hospital to hydrate you because you become dehydrated, which can kill you. Now, it's important to eat healthy. And what that means is getting your foods from the major food groups: grains, vegetables, fruits, oil, milk products, meats, and beans. So a healthful diet's going to include carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, mineral, and water. If it does not have all of those major nutrients, then it's not healthy. Here, if you look at your age group, this chart is in your book, it's going to show you what the daily amounts are for males and females at your age level from 9 years old to 13. So you can look at the different categories here in the food groups and how many you need each day. And they give you some examples of the foods where you can find, like what are grains and what kind of vegetables. To eat healthily, you need to be conscious of the food that you're buying. And so you should look at the food labels. They're going to help you then determine the amount of these different nutrients. How many carbohydrates, how many proteins, how many fats, what kind of fats. Are they the saturated or the unsaturated? And they'll tell you minerals if there's minerals in there, and vitamins if there's vitamins. And here's an example of one. In any of the food products that you buy, you can look for this. It's going to be there. See, this one has saturated fat in it.